shall we? Alrighty then. Hello and welcome to the long-awaited return of the After Movie Diner, and we are here in Kellogg's Diner on Lorimer Street and Metropolitan Avenue in the borough of Brooklyn, New York. And we are going to be discussing, what's the name of the film, Jim?
Malatesta's Carnival of Blood?
Yeah, look at that right there. You rattled that off nice and easy. Malatesta's Carnival of Blood, which was released this week, I believe, by Arrow as part of the American Horror Project box set, which is 3 American horror movies from the 70s that are like rare and unheard of, but they consider up there with, you know, Night of the Living Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Those are the movies that became more well known from the decade.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
I would think so. I mean, I would think that they are, you know, judging by what we saw, very weird curios that have merit. Like, they're not just like... I'm sure there was a lot of crappy horror films made in the 70s, but this one definitely has.
Yeah, no, these are the ones that have
There's a reason to
merit.
dig this one up.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
As
not just, we found this down the back of the sofa, should we put this out?
As Arrow describes it, everyone knows the classic American horror titles, Night of the Living Dead, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Nightmare on Elm Street, to name but a few. But we want to tell a different story, a story of the unsung heroes of American terror. Whether it's a film that has languished in obscurity or a movie that's at risk of being lost due to lack of source materials, American Horror Project is here to ensure that these unique slices of American nightmare are brought back into the public consciousness and preserved for all to enjoy. They describe this one as Volume 1, so I presume there's
There will be more.
More volumes
There
coming.
will be more.
Yes,
Otherwise it would
Jim,
just be called Volume.
welcome back into the diner, sir.
Thank you very
It's
much.
a pleasure to have you, and it's a pleasure to have you here in Brooklyn.
Thank you very much.
My new
In Brooklyn.
pomme de terre.
Brooklyn.
No, that's not the right word, is it? My new...
Where we will be served tiny berets
Yes.
and made to wear... No, tiny cupcakes and made to wear berets.
Made to wear tiny
Not
berets.
served tiny berets.
Even
made
though
to wear
we're in
cupcakes.
an authentic 1970s chrome Americana diner.
It is very 1970s crime Americana diner. It's very cool. It's got proper, like, brown and turquoise leather seats.
Yeah.
And
The whole thing's very shiny.
it's quite shiny. It is quite shiny. It's nice and big. It's got lots of windows.
Have you found the special you like when we
Yeah.
come to a new diner?
Okay, so check it out, right?
Okay,
I'm
found
going to
the
get
special,
I'm going to
ladies
get
and
the
gentlemen.
midnight craze, okay?
Wow.
Which is meatloaf, gravy, mushrooms, and American cheese on a hero.
Where are you finding this?
This is under Kellogg sandwich spot.
Oh, I see it. Okay, and you're deciding that that's the... I thought Cubano Kellogg's would be what you'd go for. 'cause
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
got
I was
the name of
thinking
the
that,
diner.
but I can't remember where it was. It was the last diner we were in. I got the special, and it was crap.
Okay.
So
So he's changed his modus operandi, ladies and gentlemen, but
That's why I'm dangerous and unpredictable.
yeah. So yeah, Carnival of Blood.
Malatesta's Carnival of Blood.
Which is a 1 hour, 15 minute...
Yeah, it was short. It was 75 minutes.
75 minutes long. Do you want... I think you can probably run down what was going on. in
All
it.
right, okay, so...
This is always a dangerous prospect, but considering there was very little in the way
Well,
of plot,
I
you
think
could
I do
probably-
quite well. My problem with plot summarising, right, is I get drawn off onto tangents.
Right.
And you're probably plot summarising. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, thank you. Do you know what you want?
Not yet. Could I have one more minute? That'd be great. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, your problem with plot summarising is you like to describe in detail everything that's happening throughout the entire movie, including like the colour of people's jackets, which is good because people get like a feel for it.
Colour
you know what I
of
mean?
people's jacket.
You do talk sometimes about
Do I?
like, you know, what people are wearing. And,
Okay.
And then he leaves the room and then he comes back into the room. I think we're probably going to cut that, but that's okay.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Whereas I'm like, well, first they go to a carnival. But the interesting thing about carnivals in the 1970s, in my opinion, is underneath, and then you go, wait, what happened to the thing about the film? So, I'm going to summarise it quickly and easily. A family starts working at a carnival in a small town. They seem to have started working there because they're looking for somebody who has disappeared at this carnival. Very quickly it becomes apparent that this is quite a... all is not seems at this carnival, and in fact that a group of zombie-like cannibals dwell beneath the carnival, feasting.
Because the carnival is made on tops of caves or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's no mystical reason for it except that they could hide down there.
Right. Well, the explanation we get as to why they are
See, I was doing really well.
Oh, sorry.
You were the one that dragged me off the tangent.
I did.
I was just about to finish as well.
I'll finish it
He
then.
wants to talk about the cave. Do you want to hear more about the caves?
Finish
Because he
it.
wants to talk about the caves.
Finish it then.
All right, fine. Family starts working in Carnival, looking for somebody, although that's never really explained or gone into. Carnival's built on top of caves. Apparently the caves are important. And in the caves dwell
caves aren't
zombie-like
Okay.
zombie-like cannibals who feast upon whatever poor souls happen to wander into the carnival that they can get away with eating.
And it's sort of a puppet master, the whole thing is this Malatesta guy.
Turns
who
out
looks like
they're
Ringo.
all a family. They're all a family.
Yeah.
We can talk about what he's wearing later. They're all a
Said he
family.
looked like Ringo. I didn't say anything about what he was wearing.
They're all a family, and they're his family. He's like the head of the family. They talk
Right.
about it's
He's like
his
the
family.
puppet master of the zombies.
Yeah, he's like the head of the family.
And they all hang around in the evening watching silent movies on a big screen.
It appears to be that to be a member of Malatesta's family is to live in a cave underneath a carnival watching Paris-based silent horror movies
Right.
and occasionally eating people.
Right. And the guy who runs the whole above ground carnival
The
thing,
business manager,
Mr. Blood,
Mr. Blood.
also, coincidentally, one might say, is also a vampire.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Right, we're
Well,
ready now. That'd be great, thank you.
Can I get the I already had it there. The Midnight Crave on our hero. And
You want to add fries to that? Or?
no, just the thing I'm saying. It's fine.
Can I get the Kellogg's burger? But can I get that as a bison burger? Exactly everything as the Kellogg's, but with the bison meat.
Yeah.
And I'll have that as a deluxe with fries. No tomato, I don't need the tomato. And a side of brown gravy.
How would you like your burger?
Medium well, please.
Do you have any herbal tea? Chamomile?
Yeah.
I would love a cup of chamomile tea. Thank you very much.
I'm good with water, thanks.
Thanks so much.
So I went for the burger of the hat. I went for the
okay,
diner
well, that's
name
fine,
burger
that's sensible.
sauce,
Yeah.
So I've got something with the word Kellogg's in it.
Good.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, carry on.
Well, I think that's, I mean, in terms of plot, that's
That's
it.
it,
Because really, the story of the film is there's a guy who, as far as I know, never made another movie. He only made this one.
The director never
The director,
made
I think he only ever made one
Speed.
movie.
Was it?
Speed. Well, I've got
Speed.
some really interesting to say about Speed. In the credits at the end, it said, one of the credits was, Psychoacoustics, Dr. Sheridan Spieth.
Right.
And given that so much of the film was about these psychoacoustics, I'm wondering, especially if he's related to somebody whose field is psychoacoustics, if this wasn't a psychoacoustics delivery system, I don't know, but that was interesting.
Right.
As somebody related to the director
What are
is credited.
psychoacoustics?
I've got no, well,
Isn't
presumably
it the weird screeching
noises
noises?
that were happening all the way through the movie.
But what if the director, is it Christopher Spieth?
Yeah,
I love that name.
it is a great
Christopher
name.
Spieth.
Well, he, as far as I know, he
it's
never
good
made,
for me to say.
Yeah, you
Spieth.
you far away.
Spieth.
He never made another movie, but the,
Perhaps his uncle or his dad was Dr.
But maybe-
Mephisto Spieth or whatever the
okay,
name
you've
was.
got to think about this, right? His
Okay.
his brother.
Yeah.
This is my
This is your
I'm
hypothetical. Right.
Right, my hypothetical thing. I think Dr. Sheridan Speed was some kind of
Sheridan. Mephisto would have been a much better name.
like no, because I think he would have been like borderline sophisticated, but
Okay.
like with egg stains,
Egg stains.
on his like white jacket.
There's
you know what I
def-
mean?
someone-
but like
someone
pretending
behind-
to be sophisticated while at the same time being a little bit drunk, and those are definitely egg stains on his jacket.
Yeah.
Talking about the power of psychoacoustics,
Sure.
right? And how he reckons
Mustache
you
or
could
no
like
mustache?
you could definitely a moustache,
Right.
with also egg
Okay.
in the moustache.
In the mustache. Right.
Possibly
no.
like beer foam from the night before.
I quite like where you're going with this.
Right, and Dr. Sheridan Smith swears blind that through the medium of psychoacoustics,
Yeah.
you can generate terror
Right.
in an audience orally.
I love it.
And I think that's what the movie's about.
No.
Or could be, because otherwise...
Also, I've got a feeling that someone in the Spieth family,
Yeah.
or Spieth adjacent,
Yeah.
had some sort of plastic concession, because there was an excessive amount of plastic in the set dressing
Yeah.
and art direction of the movie. There was
right, there's a lot of plastic.
bubble
Bubble
wrap. There was a lot of bin
You're right.
bags like stapled to doors and
But
things.
you know what? There was probably
Down in
there
the
was probably a
cabin.
family split,
Right.
You know, where
Between-
one side of the family went into psychoacoustics,
Yeah.
and the other side of the family went into plastics.
Yeah.
And Christopher Speed,
Yeah,
Right.
brought them back together
yeah,
again.
he of the unpopular probably psychoacoustics side,
Right.
reached across the aisle,
Yeah.
the unbridgeable aisle between plastics and psychoacoustics, and said,
Yeah.
"Brothers, sisters, we can come together
And enjoy it.
in a lousy carnival,
Yeah.
and we can
Who,
together."
who do you reckon owned the carnival? Do you think Spieth
I
inherited
don't know.
it?
I think it's too much to hope that Spieth owned the carnival. I think Spieth. I mean, it wouldn't. But clearly, they had access to the carnival.
Right.
My guess is, if I had to make a guess, the guy who owned the carnival, his daughter was the lead,
Right, okay.
because she was a funny old lead. Let's be honest.
Well, shouldn't that... Well, yeah, okay, yeah.
And if you'd said to me, yeah, her dad owns the carnival, I could believe that maybe. Although she had a very weird quality. The lead actress had a very weird quality of, in some shots looking like she was a teenage girl,
Yeah.
in other shots looking like a young woman,
Right.
and in other shots looking like a 45-year-old librarian. Like,
Right.
It seemed to change depending on what the camera was, how it was pointed, and, you know what I mean? Like, it was
Okay, so...
her
so
age did seem to jump all over the
It did,
place.
but also so did her ordeal.
Yeah,
That's
thank you very much.
Her ordeal was sort of all over the place. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of tremendous. So maybe throughout the ordeal, she aged,
That I can believe.
or maybe it was just the way she was lit.
I think they were
She was
lighting
lit
her
all over the place.
in a way to.
Well, okay, so all right. So the
Yeah,
first,
I mean, like where to begin?
no, right, exactly. The first comment to be made about the movie is that it is akin to what would happen if one of Tom Waits' songs had a nightmare. It's kind of like that.
It would not surprise me to find out
That Waits, this was like Waits'
no,
favourite song. or
Waits'
something.
uncle owned the carnival. That's who owned the carnival. Tom Waits' uncle. You know what I mean?
All I'm saying
Who would wander around going, you know what you want to hear? You want a
Right.
shot of a. You
Oh,
want
no,
to
no.
hang a Volkswagen upside down.
So there were bits that were very Waits-like, but there
Yes.
were also bits that were very like Bonzo Dog, Viv Stanchel-esque as well. Like
Yeah,
because
that's true. There was a lot of comedy in it.
all the like papier-mâché dummies and models and stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that they had adapted again with this bubble wrap and this plastic wrap and this excessive amount of even plastic cups at one point. They had made like a big
They turned a Volkswagen Beetle
Upside down, and then they made it-
opened up the bonnet and to make it look like a tub,
yeah,
like an open
the
mouth.
trunk actually, the trunk.
Oh yeah, it's the trunk, right? Do I make it? Well, the trunk is the anyway. Yeah, that's where the boot is in the thing.
Right. No, I understand what you mean. Yeah. 'Cause
And then
back to
open it
front,
up
right.
because someone went, "Hey man, if you hung a beetle upside down,
And the Rolling
that would
Stones-
look like a mouth."
Yeah.
And you go, "Yeah, we should." And then Speed went, "Yeah, man."
Let's
and
cover
then they
it in
like
red
covered it in red
plastic.
plastic
And plastic cups for
and
the tea.
white plastic cups. And I think so. Okay.
So hang on.
Right.
So it's and then plus you have Hervé Villachez as the mad carny dwarf,
Right.
Bobo,
Best known from Fantasy Island,
Fancy
and
Island, and Man with a Golden Gun. And you have your Jerome chappie who played the lead, Mr. Blood, who also crops up in Hudsucker Proxy and a couple of other movies later on down the road.
Who was very good.
He's amazing.
So they were all. I tell you what I liked about it as well, despite the fact that it was obviously extremely low budget movie, like unbelievably low budget. The quality of the acting was, in general, really good.
That's what I was about to
They
say.
were all like weird-looking people. Like I can
Right.
see how they were all cast on ability and not on looks.
Right.
It's the opposite of a modern Hollywood horror video, basically.
Right.
Everything was. They were all really talented.
Yeah.
And believable, even though they were like a bunch of funny-looking buggers.
Yeah, and
To a
the
man.
the other weird thing about it is I wonder if it wasn't shot chronologically, and the reason why. Go with me on this one.
Yeah. It barely had a chronology.
Right. But both the acting, but more importantly, the camera work and the photography got considerably better as the movie went on. Like at the very beginning, it was all handheld and shonky and kind of awful, and they hadn't got the lenses right, and everything was a bit too close up, and it was all a bit weird, which was fine because it kind of unnerved you and kind of put you in the mindset. But then, like halfway through the movie, when they start going down into the caverns and stuff, first of all, you've got all this amazing art direction. Secondly, somewhere out of his bag of tricks, Beast pulls a wide-angle, slightly fish-eyed lens and starts shooting the hell out of it like he's Terry Gilliam merged with David Lynch, and starts having immense amounts of fun. Her dream sequence that then turns out to be real, which was completely bizarre.
Yeah.
With her like running through the woods on like
the
what
wood
looked
shot
like
was really-
Steadicam or maybe even mounted on the back of a truck or something was amazing. The final shot of Malatesta going round and round on the
that was very cool.
what are they called? Like those? They're like merry-go-rounds, but they're high up where you're hanging from a chair. Right?
Yeah, I know
but
what you
it
mean.
just goes round and round. And round.
The whirly, something like that.
Whirly, whatever. He like dressed like a mad wizard. That was amazing.
Yeah,
Like, that was a
you're
really
right. There
great
was,
shot.
and even the
They did a couple of nighttime shots on the roller coaster where you were like, okay, that's a bit bonkers because this roller coaster looks like it's about to implode at any second if someone
that was,
sneezes
because
too
actually,
hard.
what was cool about them filming on the roller coaster at night? Because okay, so just very very quickly to give you an idea of like the internal logic of the movie, there's a bit where the two people escape from the caves on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Right. Except that, of course, that can't work because it's a roller coaster. It
It's
just
just
goes
gonna
round
take
and
you
round
back
and
to it.
round.
Right.
But you don't stop to think about that. That's kind of the logic, and not because like, oh, that's a mistake. It's just they want to have a scene where they're escaping from the cave, so they film it on the roller coaster. Like it doesn't have to have
there was
any
also-
logic to it.
Right, no,
it's just like
I'll
that
let
kind
you
of
finish
feeling.
your thought, yeah.
But what was cool about that shot was even that it would make any other director would have tried to light it or done it at twilight or shot day for night or something so you could see the landscape speeding by, because otherwise why are you filming it on a roller coaster? But when they're attacked at the end by blood on the roller coaster, it's definitely moving, but it's pitch black. So all you see every now and then is like an occasional light or like a bit of a landscape or something that shows you, and they're obviously on the roller coaster, moving around or whatever and having this fight. So it's almost more terrifying because you've got that feeling of you're like rushing through the darkness. There's no frame of reference, but it's definitely moving. This isn't phony.
And
It made it more terrifying. They've just been going up and down on a roller coaster.
the other thing is, because basically, like, the daughter of the Norrises, the parents, the two Norrises, and then eventually Johnny, who's her boyfriend from out of town who's coming in, basically spend most of the movie, certainly like the last 45 minutes to an hour, going through this mad carnival and also the caves underneath the carnival and also this plastic world and also like spinning corridors and also and halls of mirrors, and it's completely bizarre. So the whole movie is kind of like a chase thing. And what's interesting, because
it's kind of like a maze hall of mirrors.
Right.
Like everybody's always, like every character in it is always lost.
right, and what's interesting about the fact that the zombies or ghouls, or call them what you will. Wow, that's amazing. That's great. Thank you.
Wow, that's brilliant. Thank you very
Look at
much.
that. That's incredible. Thank you.
Oh my god, that smells amazing.
Yeah, Jim just got half a cow in some
In a bat.
in a bag. So what was interesting, considering the zombies or ghouls watch silent movies exclusively, is that 90% of this movie could quite easily have been as effective as a silent movie, with just those weird psychotronic
Yes, it
noises
could. Yeah,
over it.
Yeah.
And yes, still in color because they utilize the blood and the grayness of the faces, and like these are very much the zombies of Romero. Like they look like the zombies from Dawn of the Dead, even though Dawn of the Dead hadn't come out yet.
They were weirdly comic as well.
Right.
I mean, menacing and strange.
But one of the zombies had a glass eye.
He was great. He
And
looked like
drooled
Roger
a lot.
Daltrey the zombie.
He looked like aged Roger
Yeah.
Daltrey the zombie.
What if Roger Daltrey went mad in
Well, wait a minute.
1972
Right.
and had an accident where he
Somehow-
had to have a glass eye and then emerged underneath the carnival
Having
10
aged
years
20
later
years. Right.
with a thirst for blood and mayhem? You would like this place.
Yeah, I mean that's You know. That's a long way round, but sure. Okay, I'll go with it. Yeah, that's exactly what.
But he was great because Roger Daltrey.
He was incredible.
With a glass eye.
You had
initially he's a comic figure, almost like you're almost sympathetic because he's this kind of like bumbling comic figure,
right?
Wandering
you don't
around.
realise why initially he's a zombie. Like you don't understand
No,
why
you just
his
think he's
face.
like a funny dude who works for the carnival who picks up the rubbish
And if-
lying around, and then he like jabs his stick into. Well, no, because Blood tells this guy who's looking for help, oh, you want to go and see this guy. And then, so the guy's looking for his friend who's been killed, who's had to come off in a roller coaster. And Blood says, oh, you want to talk to him. And he runs down the ramp whatever, towards the rubbish guy. And initially you're thinking, ho, ho, ho. He's been sent to the bumbling, silent comic guy that picks up the rubbish. That's how unconcerned they are by this. But instead the guy grabs him and like jabs his rubbish stick into his eye and kills him.
Right. And
It was a neat surprise.
what's weird is, although Blood is the one that talks about this, so obviously his account can't be 100% believed because he's luring her down into the cave.
Yeah, good point.
But he doesn't call them zombies. He says they're underground cannibals that have barely seen the light of day, which is why
That's
they're
why
so.
they're grey. Right.
It's why they're so pale, and also why they have like wounds and shit on their face because they just never healed or never
Right.
whatever. But then he's revealed very definitely to be a vampire. So if this is
It's odd because there's no. Okay.
not only a vampire, but someone who isn't in charge. He's Malatesta's like whipping boy.
Which is odd because we never get to see. I mean, all we see of Malatesta's powers is A, he obviously runs the show. B, he's got an ability to change his face that terrifies the vampire into death. No, not death.
No, not that, because they kill him on the roller coaster.
That's right, madness. So just into madness. And he does that really neat trick where what's his face sneaks up around to strangle him, and instead he's strangling
He turns into a balloon man.
a balloon man wrapped in bubble wrap.
Yeah, again, use of bubble
But those
wrap.
appear to be the limits of his powers. He can change his face into something so horrible it sends a vampire mad, which we don't see, and that's about it, really. And he can transform into a balloon man.
Oh, and the zombies don't eat him. They're under his thrall.
Right. But as that, there's no story. Is
No.
the carnival at the end the same carnival, or is it a different carnival?
It is, but I think that this all takes place because they're just setting up for the season.
Right.
I think this takes place before the
right.
opening day. And I think the ending is meant to say the carnival all opens up and the world continues.
Right. So do they eat people while the carnival's on? It appears to be like a stationary carnival because the sheriff turns up and promises them protection over the winter.
Right.
Which is odd. From what?
Don't know.
I mean, yeah. It is important to say that nothing about the movie makes any sense at all, and that's part of its charm.
No, and the only reason why I wouldn't want it to be a silent movie is because Blood, especially,
He's
gives
very
some
good.
great, weird arched eyebrow monologues, which I really, really
Right
do
from the
love.
very beginning,
Right from the very beginning.
when he was like showing the people around. And it was funny. It did have a sense of humour.
It did, like that sequence where he shows up. She's momentarily the daughter, before Johnny shows up, becomes enamoured with a guy who runs
Another
the
carny. who
shooting
runs
range.
he runs a tunnel of love.
Oh, he runs the Tunnel of Love. That's it. Where the first couple to disappear down the Tunnel of Love. And she becomes enamoured with him. And at one point, Blood rocks up in a Dodge
Right.
or a bumper car.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah.
Says, what would Johnny think, eh? You've got two men fighting over you. And then, there's this awkward sequence that they clearly left in while, Blood's behind them. They're sat on the railings, Blood's behind them, trying to figure out how to get to dodge him to move away. Finally does, and they're both sat there awkward. And normally, while that would be a, shock or some mishap in the production. It actually works really well because what he's done is come over and made the two of them feel awkward, and then the two actors have to sit there and literally be
and
awkward.
then be awkward,
while,
yeah. And again, it's a lot like the roller coaster. What's fun about it is, yeah, obviously this is just a dodgem rink that they're sitting by, and he's just, but the idea is he's just driving around the fairground in his dodgem. Do you know what I mean? Like stirring the pot.
Right. So that's the only reason that I'm glad it had sound is because this guy's speeches were amazing.
It's weird you should say that because what I thought about half an hour in was this. The best way to describe this movie is it's the sort of movie that would be playing on the wall of a menacing sex party in like in a Joel Schumacher movie. Do you know what I mean? Like the kind of thing where like the young innocent person's like wandering around like the menacing sex party,
right?
And then there's a film playing with like really weird shit happening in that movie. You know what I mean? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure Joel Schumacher's your man, but I know.
But you know what I mean? Like,
or
an HBO show or something.
Right.
Like it's definitely.
And they're at a menacing sex party.
They're at a menacing sex party.
Sure. Sure.
That's the kind of thing that this is the movie that we'll be playing on the screen to further unnerve what is already an unnerving experience.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. The movie also contains, like, I don't want to sell it short and I don't want to laugh at it because the movie contains some genuinely artistically vibrant images and ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
I genuinely enjoyed it, and I'm not like laughing at it, not being giggly, oh how crap, more an admiration for how people with clearly no money, but they went out and they got talented people to be in the film. Even they didn't look great, they got talented people. They used the carnival, like not every movie that gets a carnival decides to like really use it and use it like weird, because abandoned, run-down carnivals. I'm not like out of business carnival, but like run-down. Oh, like creepy places and creepy things, and they used that. And
but they also dressed the hell out of it. Like they had these. They made like a room at the very end when you think he's creeping up on Malatesta, and really it's Hervé Villachez in a long cloak, pretending to be, sitting on some boxes. That whole room, like they'd made a big cavern out of plastic, like this great big plastic tent and stuff. Like, and the way they shot it from down low, and this just like ominous black figure right at the end of the room and stuff. Like, there was some just some genuinely really interesting ideas.
Yeah.
The only problem is, and maybe this is also one of its strengths, is the ideas never really kind of like ended. There was a lot of jump cuts. Like the first time we saw them all watching the silent movie, it went from something that was sort of epically weird to suddenly like, wait a minute, there's all these zombies partying like it's a scene out of Rocky Horror or something, where they're all just like throwing popcorn on each other and moaning at each other while Phantom of the Opera plays in the background, or Hunchback of Notre Dame, you know? Which again was another amazing visual, but it wasn't even a juxtaposition from the previous visual. It was just completely fucking different. Like it just was a jar.
You have to say that it tells you a lot, that because I waited for the end to see, because I was interested to know. And all it said was directed by, produced by, assistant director, and then story by some German guy.
Right.
Let's all be shocked that a mad German came up with this one. But only story, not written by, not screenplay, just story. Which says, to me, because so much of it was, like you're saying, unfinished thoughts. Because I think he just shot what he wanted to shoot and then moved on to the next thing, because they clearly only had a limited amount of time wherever they were. And there were unfinished parts of it, like they referred to the caravan explosion, which clearly they were hoping to maybe raise a bit of money for and then blow up a caravan. Because they must have thought, I'm sure we could buy a caravan for nothing and then like blow it up. And they just lost interest, or they couldn't raise the money. But presumably, for it to, because here's what's weird about it, for it to get a releasing on Arrow, right, however many years after it was made, I'm sure would please Spieth no end, like that it survived. Right. And it survived on the merits of it being so weird. If it had cut out all the weirdness and it had just been about like what it purported to be about, no way we would have ever seen it. It would have just been lost.
Well, it's interesting. It was a bit like what happened with The Evil Dead when what were they called in England? Who picked Palace? When Palace picked it up, like they watched it, and Stephen Woolley was like, well, it was clearly low budget. Clearly, these people can't act or whatever. But also, there's been a ton of thought put into this, and a ton of artistry put into this. Like, there's actual like he lists the bit where the camera goes over the rafters, and you hear the womp 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 as the camera goes over the rafters. Like. And little things like that, and like the sound effects and the soundscapes and the way it's shot, and the camera angles and all the rest. Well, that's what I feel like this is. Like, I was watching it, and I felt like, although I'm not engaged in the story and I don't really care about the characters, and it's clearly low budget.
Which is quite rare from us, as in to like something even though the characters don't engage us. Except
Blood. I like Blood.
Yeah, Blood was good. And I even like the zombies, like as characters. And I really like the guy, but not as visuals.
No. And I really liked how the married couple referred to themselves in quite a kind of Shock Marathons, Matt Farley, Roxburgh type way, as Mr. and Mrs. Norris. He was like, now calm down, Mrs. Norris, is what he was saying to his wife. Like, they were referring to each other by their last name, which I kind of felt was sort of charming and odd.
There were, like we said quite early on, there were Shock Marathons elements to the movie because the people involved were enjoying what they were doing. They were really giving it their all. Yes. You know, I didn't feel like anybody thought what they were doing was beneath them. You know what I mean?
There was no irony in it at all. Or
they were really enjoying it, and they were all just there to try and make a good film.
No one was being arch or aloof.
No, like, and that scene with the little girl, and the throwing when the mother goes, oh, it's so hard to be a parent of an intelligent child, while the kid's throwing a massive tantrum because she wants a dead chicken puppet. Was a very like Farley Roxburgh kind of a scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything about it reminded me of the Shock Marathon thing.
I think the one thing that stopped it being a resounding like, oh my god, this is immediately shot to my top 10 weirdo movie list, was just that I wasn't sure what to expect. So like each new image or each new cut or each new thing, as wondrous as it was kind of jarring and difficult to take in, so you had to kind of like wait a moment. So it was kind of odd experience watching it, because I was watching it, I was going, oh my god, this is amazing, but I wasn't necessarily having the emotive feeling of, oh my god, this is amazing. It was just kind of...
Yeah, I think if I had to pinpoint...
Do you know what I mean by that?
No,
I was
I do.
mentally taking in that it was very visually stunning, but I wasn't feeling it.
The problem is, this may well have to be laid at the door of the psychoacoustics, I fear. Because I think the idea, presumably, is to take you like down the rabbit hole with the characters.
Definitely.
You're supposed to be like lost and confused. And presumably, if you were in, and I'm just, again, speculating here, but if it's in a drive-in movie, and there you are, sat in your car, and you've got the speaker, and there's all these weird sounds, and you're on this weird journey, and maybe you're a little bit high, you probably would get like swept up into it. Like it would be the environment to watch it in, rather than necessarily like a home DVD or whatever. But I think you're right. I think what was missing from it was the feeling of being on the journey with the characters.
Right.
Which I think was two things. One, it's very difficult to care about the girl because of how she was being shot. She was a visual for him, we didn't really hear her speak or anything like that.
Also, I think the other problem that we're invariably going to have with something like this,
Right.
is that because we grew up in the 80s and the 90s rather than the 70s, because we didn't see this in a grindhouse theatre or a drive-in theatre or whatever like that, we saw it years later. We've seen a lot of similar images in music videos. Like, it was very music video-y, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
In terms of like, a swirling carnival full of plastic bubble wrap and surrounded by zombies with a fisheye lens, and like it was all sort of...
Yeah, that's true.
And while I can mentally marvel at it because I'm like, wow, this is 1973, made for no money, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's still a cerebral experience, not an emotive one.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
agree.
mean.
I think for it to work completely in the way that I'm guessing Spieth wanted it to work, you're supposed to be on the journey with them, and instead you're right, you're more admiring it from afar rather than lost in its weirdness.
Whereas I have to say, had we been in a group of people turn the lights down, crank the volume up. Like when I do the horror movie weekend with Nick and Laurel, if this had been one that they had screened and nobody knew what the hell was going on, it would have been a much better experience. This is
I would go
definitely
along with that.
this is definitely a movie that I will watch again without hesitation. It's definitely a movie that I will show people who
you
are
should
fans of horror.
The 80s thing that we went to a couple of weeks back, when that guy was curating,
Right.
you know, it wasn't just, hey, here are 5 great 80s movies. Here are 5 80s movies you may not have seen, but are legitimately good movies.
Right.
You could do that with, 70s horror films.
Right.
You won't have seen these, but these are legitimately good movies. And you could put this one in. I would put this one in, it depends how many movies you were doing. But if you were doing 6 movies, I would throw this one in, like, third, maybe?
Right. Yeah,
as
so
like
maybe it's a breakup, yeah.
Yeah, a little breakup thing, a kind of a palate cleanser almost. Because you didn't need any brain power, you just had to watch, And I felt like quite early on, I had to turn my brain off because there wasn't anything there for it to enjoy. There was just things to. There was what they were doing to admire from the beginning,
Right.
and then to admire what they were doing. But it was only visually it was there to admire.
But I genuinely loved it. And we'll have to watch a couple of the other movies from this box set, or I will have to. But let's say it was 3 of these movies
Yeah.
that were of this caliber.
Yeah.
This box set would be a buy for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. And
Arrow has done a great job. I mean, considering it must be 16mm, it can't be more than 16mm. It can't be 35. I would imagine
think
it's
so.
16mm. It cleaned up nice. They did a great job. And in
They
fact,
did.
I was going to say about the roller coaster sequences, the only problem is if they adjusted the contrast or adjusted the light or adjusted the color or whatever in order to make other sequences pop, they may have sacrificed more definition in the roller coaster sequence. That's all I'm saying.
well, I didn't mind that.
It didn't matter, but I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
I didn't mind that because of the effect that it produced. And I'd be surprised if, maybe you could try. There wasn't anything there. It was just pitch black, and anything there was to reference points of horizon were fleeting and strange, and it was perfect as the way that it was. But for sure, I really enjoyed watching it because there are so few movies left anymore where you don't know what you're going to get or what you're going to see.
Right.
And this particular movie, especially with horror films, watching something new, a new image, something newly that's weird and strange and unnerving, it's still a cool thing to come across.
Yeah.
I'm not something we come across all that often. When
No.
you see something like the guy picking up the rubbish. Like from now on, whenever I see any character in a movie, like with that stick picking up rubbish, I'm going to think of this guy.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Who was giving it the beans with the rolly eye and
he
the
was
dribbling
great.
and the whole bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was some genuinely eerie and unnerving sequences. There was some really great. The other thing that Spieth became really good at over the course of the movie was depth perception. Like that whole sequence where she goes into the room with stuff hanging from the ceiling and weird little objects and stuff like that. There was one thing that looked like it was really far in the background and maybe was as big as the car or whatever it was. But actually it was like a little mask that was hanging up the front. And when she walked past it, I was like, whoa, that was a weird.
Yeah.
Like whether we did it intentionally or not, it got me. It was this weird perspective thing, which I was really cool. And I just think about some of the bit where I thought it was a dream, but then apparently it was real. Where it went from the carnival and then suddenly went to the woods. That was really striking to go from this one color palette that we had seen and this one environment that we had seen to this other dewy morning, soft focus lit woodland.
Yeah.
And I looked up actually, it was interesting. It was filmed at a proper closed down carnival in Pennsylvania, about 40 minutes outside Philadelphia.
Okay. So it's probably shut down.
Well, it was shut down for the winter or whatever. Yeah, when they made it. Yeah. But
Okay.
It must have still been active because they filmed on an active whirly, whatever it was.
Yeah,
at the
they
end.
did, didn't they? Yeah.
And the roller coaster they filmed on, well, you wouldn't be able to do that. Like if it was all busted up, there would have to be some safety precautions.
Yeah, you're right. No, it was definitely a working. I think it was a working Carnival for sure.
I wonder if it's still there. That'd be
And
awesome.
it was a properly crap roller coaster. Like if I'd been taken there as a kid, that would have been a bit of a disappointing roller coaster.
But it was, what I liked about it was, it had all the things I love. It had like weird music, and it had Americana carnivals, and it had weird zombies, and it had a mad vampire, and it
And you're
had
right. It had
back
a
projected black and white movies.
it had a
and it
Gilliam-esque weird sense
really
of humour
did. It
about it.
really, really, really did, and in such a pleasing way. Like the shot to me that was really striking was when she was lying on the bed in what seemed to be in front of one of these movies being projected.
Oh, that was very cool. Yeah.
And then giant head of Mr. Blood with his
Yeah.
vampire teeth, the first time we see him, comes up. Now, I don't know whether they filmed him, then projected it behind him so he came up all big, or whether it was a false perspective thing or what. But, like, his head was all, like, purples and reds and blues and stuff.
Yeah.
And huge. And she was lying in this very brightly lit white bedgown and passed out on this bench. And him, like, coming up, looming behind her with his big domed face and mad hair. I was like, I want a poster of that. Like, that's
It was.
awesome.
I think it was on a screen, but you couldn't. The way that it was filmed, you couldn't tell whether it was the screen or
He'd become giant.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. There was a lot like that. There was something happening. There wasn't a bit where it lagged either, and I don't mean the pace. The pace lagged a lot, but you didn't go more than 10 seconds without something interesting happening on the screen.
Right.
You know?
And like when the fortune teller was taking her down the corridor at the very end,
Right.
he went, okay, we're just going to make this corridor bright red.
Yeah,
So the corridor is just going to be red and black, and it's going to be very high contrast. It's going to be filmed with red gels on the camera, and the whole thing's going to be red, red, red. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I would say I'm all done. Yes.
I'm done. That was delicious.
But
Thank you
any
very
more,
much.
it'll
Really
explode.
like that.
It's
Thank you.
lovely. Thank you so much. It's really good.
Did you have any water, Chief?
No, I did. If you want to have it, it's
Can I
fine.
have it?
I am very happy with my meatloaf, mushroom gravy, and
That was
American
good?
cheese. It was really good.
I have to say, the Kellogg's bison burger, yes, very tasty.
All right, we'll get that tried next
Like
time.
that.
I'm happy to come
Do you
back
like
here.
some more water?
That's great. Yes, please. That'd be wonderful. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Yeah, listen, I'd be happy to come back to Brooklyn, watch another Arrow film, and eat food in this diner again.
Then let's
I would
do
be
it.
more than happy to do
Let's do that. Maybe sometime in the future we'll bring you more Arrow movies. But I have to say, dude, thank you for this. Really enjoyed it.
You're very welcome.
Great movie. Thanks for doing all the research on which one we should start with. I think you picked a blinder.
Thanks very much.
I really bloody loved it. And like I say, we'll watch the rest of the box set at some point. But if the movies are even a third as good as this, it would be a buy.
Agreed.
Liked it a lot. Thanks ever so much, Arrow. Thanks ever so much, Jim. Thanks ever much to the wonderful people of the Kellogg's Diner, Brooklyn. And till next time, good night.
Cheers, man.
Well, that was a little short, but fantastic episode. Really loved recording that with Jim. And thanks again, Arrow, for providing us a fantastic Blu-ray. If anyone likes obscure American horror movies, pick up that box set today from Arrow. So just to say a couple of things, I recently put up an After Movie Diner survey, and one of the resounding things that came from that survey is that people really do miss the sort of audience feedback, and I love audience feedback. If I haven't been clear enough, you can always contact us about anything at aftermoviediner@gmail.com. Contact us, and I will still read it out on the show. I'll either read it out myself, or I'll print off the emails, take them down to the diner, and Jim and I will go over them. But please, please, please do write to us at aftermoviediner@gmail.com, or call us at 347-669-0053 and leave us a voicemail. That's 347-669-0053. If you live elsewhere in the world apart from the East Coast of America and you don't wish to spend the money to make the phone call, that's absolutely fine. You can go to www.speakpipe.com/aftermoviediner and leave us a voicemail. That's speakpipe.com/aftermoviediner. So lots of ways to contact the diner. The diner listeners have spoken via the survey that I put up on the website, and they want feedback. So if you're enjoying these shows, if you have any questions, if you want to just make a comment, if you want to write something silly, if you want to do a voicemail, please leave us a message at aftermoviediner@gmail.com, on speakpipe.com/aftermoviediner, or call us at 347-669-0053. The listeners want to hear from you. And lastly, to play us out, it's another song from my brand new album, Wake Up, It's Not Over, which is now available at miskplumbingfixtures.bandcamp.com, and also all over the internet, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, you name it, it's available. It's by Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures. It's called Wake Up, It's Not Over. It's in 2 parts, and it has been getting some rave reviews. Thank you ever so much for people who have been writing about it. Please do enjoy this next song, and why not, in order to support the After Movie Diner, rush out and buy a copy. If not, listen to it on Spotify, and I earn 0.0, whatever it is, 5 cents a song, but I'm not sniffing that. Listen to the album on Spotify if you can't afford to buy it outright. That would be tremendous. Thanks always for being listeners of the After Movie Diner, and we'll be back next week. Thanks so much, and all the best.
Bury the lead. I want to paint